Please join me in welcoming to the podium the Honorable Senator and our very dear friend, Chuck Schumer.
Marev. It is great to be here. I want to thank Dr. Rachel Gashgarian and Armin Macomber for their great work here, and I want to first praise my colleagues. When Bob Menendez was chairman of the Foreign Relations Committee, it was the only time the Armenian resolution passed through his skill and hard work to condemn the genocide. And when he gets to be chairman again, it'll pass again. And Frank Pallone has done an amazing job from across the river as well in New Jersey, and I want to thank them. Thank him for his good work as well. Now, I'd like to take a moment to acknowledge the survivors of the genocide and their descendants. So many in this audience have had parents, grandparents, great aunts or uncles, relations of all kinds who were slaughtered in Armenia during these terrible times. And many others, as that sign which says, "My grandfather survived, I will never forget it." Many others lived through the Metz Yekern, the Armenian genocide. It galls survivors. It galls those who lost loved ones to see that people are denying their suffering. It's an outrage. It would burn me up every single day, as it does. We remember their stories. They're imprinted on the survivors' memories as well as on our memories. And we come here each year to commemorate and push for more widespread recognition. I stand with you in labeling the atrocity committed on the Armenian people for what it was: genocide. Now, as Frank Pallone mentioned, this crowd is beautiful. It is so large, as big as we had last year on the 100th. And the size of the crowd and your energy, and most important, your collective spirit, shows that even after a century, the deniers cannot kill the truth. They will never kill the truth. In fact, the momentum is growing to commemorate the genocide and force the Turks to admit it. And it's because of folks like you. Folks like my dear friend who I think of every time I come here, Sam Azadian. He was an absolute joy to be around. Sam taught me about Armenia, its people, its rich culture and heritage. He introduced me to the history of the Armenian genocide and encouraged me to be a strong advocate of human rights and justice on the Hill. Sam's leadership and friendship is truly and sorely missed. Continuing these events is the best way to honor his memory and continue his mission. And I mentioned Sam, I want to mention somebody else who's here with me, and that is Corinne Vorparian. Corinne was a high school student in Armenia who wished to come to this country, and when I was a congressman, I helped her come here. She now heads my office on immigration and has helped many Armenians and thousands of those around the world who face oppression to come here to New York and America. Corinne, we love you and thank you. So, I come here every year because I believe from the bottom of my heart it's my sacred duty, our sacred duty, to speak out against the terrors of the past. We owe it to those who cannot speak for themselves, those whose memory still calls down for justice, the innocent victims of the Armenian genocide. We owe it to them to call out evil for what it is, to stare directly into the heart of darkness and answer the question, how did this happen? Who was responsible? Who answered the call for help? And who ran from responsibility? When people are forced to confront these questions, it makes it less likely that another Holocaust, another genocide will happen again. The Armenian genocide, as we all know, was the first Holocaust of the 20th century, but it was not the last. Untold millions suffered as a result of the lessons unlearned. A trail of tears from Hitler's Germany to Stalin's Ukraine to Pol Pot's Cambodia to the Balkans to Rwanda to Sudan. These events are more than just a stain on their nations or their continent. They are a stain on humanity. Every time genocide occurs, we say never again, and we must. Time and time again, we promise that we have learned a lesson, that we will stop these crimes from being repeated, and we should never fail to keep that promise. America can't be the policeman of the world and have soldiers in every corner of the globe. But we must always be a moral compass and awaken the conscience of the world when the lives of innocent millions hang in the balance. The Statue of Liberty stands for something, and one of the things it stands for is remembering the genocide done to the Armenian people. And we are not alone. We are not alone. Pope Francis recently said about the Armenian genocide that, quote, concealing or denying evil is like allowing a wound to keep bleeding without bandaging it. So, I stand with you in labeling the atrocity committed on the Armenian people for what it was. I'm a steadfast supporter and co-sponsor of Senator Menendez's bill, the Armenian Genocide Resolution. I will continue to do all in my power as Senator from New York, and God willing, should I become the leader of the Senate, to do all I can to see that it passes once and for all. Yes. I want to conclude by discussing a memorial at Yad Vashem, the Holocaust Memorial in Jerusalem, that embodies what I mean when we talk about the two sides of remembrance. It is called the Children's Memorial. You walk into a dark room full of reflective glass, and in the room there is but one candle. But each pane of glass is at a slightly odd angle, so the single candle is reflected an infinite number of times. It is meant to symbolize that for each child lost in the Holocaust, there were 1 million lives snuffed out. Their unborn children, their children's children, as the generations would have descended. But it is also a memorial for those who survived against all odds, because for each life saved, there are 1 million lives saved, generation after generation. The legacy of survival and hope against all odds is before our very eyes right here today. We lost 1.5 million Armenians during the genocide. Today, we are proud to say there are more than 1.5 million Armenians in America alone. The efforts of the Turks to wipe out this people will never fail and hasn't failed. So let us remember today, but also let us hope. Here in Times Square, in Brooklyn, in Bayside, in Tenafly, in the Armenian communities in Boston and across the nation. Ketsi Hayastan! Yeah. Ketsi Hayastan! Ketsi Hayastan!